This week's episode of The Totally Rad Show is brought to you by the new voice-activated sync featuring hands-free calling, music search, and turn-by-turn navigation.
The national fight against drunk driving, over the limit, under arrest. Who wants to spend the holidays in jail?
And Squarespace.
This week on The Totally Rad Show, we are talking about what? Up in the Air and Sherlock Holmes in movies. In video games, we're talking about the new hotness from PixelJunk Shooter and the sequel to King's Bounty. And we get a look ahead at what's to come in movies and video games in 2010 to see if Peter Hyams was correct. No one got stuff because the sequel to 2009.
3 rad guests move out to the west. It is their quest to come the farthest. Allie is impressed, but Johnny's a pest, and their training's compressed into chores they detest. At the final contest, Cobra Kai are obsessed, so Miyagi suggests a crane kick to the chest. As Esposito professed, their reviews are the best around. He wrote this about the Totally Rad Show.
Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad Show.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Totally Rad Show, episode number 145. I'm Alex Albrecht.
I'm Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
Totally Rad Show's weekly dose of all things rad. Hope you had a fat holiday turkey, because it is time for the last episode of The Totally Rad Show in 2009.
This is true.
I cannot believe that 2009 has come and gone.
I'm just glad you didn't say the last episode of the decade. Because people that say that the 10 is the last of the decade is a little annoying. It technically isn't, but...
Because in the year 10 would be the last episode?
Yeah, the 11 is the start of the new decade. But
Oh, got it. Yeah.
I mean, you could be a stickler.
But is zero?
It doesn't really bother me.
Well, no, because wouldn't
Was
it be
that true, 'cause
2000? I mean,
yeah,
wouldn't it be
because you
like...
didn't start counting in zero.
No,
we
wouldn't it
did.
be 1980 would be the first of that decade, of the 80s?
Yeah.
Well, technically no. Technically no, because if you go back to year 1, that was the
Right.
first year. So
No. The first year had passed.
The first year was 0 to 1.
No, you don't start counting at 0.
Yeah, okay, all right. Okay,
There was no year
But
zero.
I would say that the thing that I remember, like the ADs would be from 1980 to 1989.
Right, but technically 80 is
Technically, it could be wrong.
last of a decade that started with
This is true.
71.
I think
Sure.
we're all right here.
I think everybody's wrong.
I think this all became very uninteresting for the audience.
It did.
I love that 2010,
Yes.
it's so worth it. It's the future.
It is a future.
I
There's
mean,
a movie
really,
called like 2010.
Yeah, I mean, like
None of that happened though.
no,
Sadly.
but it's so cool that we're in years now. Like it was weird that we were in 2000, but then 2005. It doesn't really. Now it feels like okay. Now we should see some shit. Like now it's 2010.
Yeah.
You know?
We're in the 2000 teens pretty soon.
Yeah, what are we saying?
10?
The teens?
10?
Well, we have to wait a few years for
Weird.
that.
1 0?
I still don't even know what we were supposed to
12.
be saying.
I know, I was like, I just said 08, 05, 06.
Yeah.
But what do you say about 10? Just 10? That sounds so old.
Yeah, you know what you said, what my brother used to say to my dad, it's the 80s, Dad, and I used to say, it's the 90s, Dad. That still makes sense to me. The 90s, it's the 90s. Complaining to my dad. But what do you say? What do you
It's
just
the
say?
O's.
It's the 10s? That's
The
so
10s.
weird.
We're in it.
Well, not
Speaking
quite
of
yet.
10s, speaking of 10s,
Yeah.
we got a great background.
Yeah, we're doing Up in the Air this week. So Cameron sent us in a background
Correct.
that is
From
like
England.
we're flying.
Correctamundo. So let's get into the last episode of Ought
Yeah,
Nine.
we don't even have to worry about that yet.
This week in movies, we're going to talk first about Up in the Air. Up in the Air comes from writer-director Jason Reitman, who has been nominated for an Academy Award, or his films have, since he started making feature films. Thank You for Smoking, last year's, right? It was last year's Juno. 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Boy.
I don't know. It's a new year.
It's
I don't-
20
it's 2010. I don't know.
Let's just talk about that some more.
Yeah. Anyway.
Is that still the decade, or what's going on with that?
And it seems
Did
very...
we figure that out in the break?
it seems very likely that he will again this year with all the buzz that's going around about Up in the Air. Up in the Air is about, is based on the Walter Kern novel about George Clooney's character. What, did I say about like 8 times?
You said about George Clooney. It's a character.
Whose job it is to fire people. And he travels across the country to fire people. And he also gives seminars, and you can hear a little bit of that in one of the best trailers of this. We're doing our best ofs, next episode.
Yeah.
But trailers is not a category, but the trailer for Up in the Air, the first teaser trailer, is spectacular. He gives that speech about how much does your life weigh.
Yeah.
And that's in his seminars. So there's sort of this father-daughter relationship between him and a person who wants his job, a new hire, played by Anna Kendrick, and a love interest played by Vera Farmiga. So, a lot of Oscar buzz. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed this movie wholeheartedly. It's a really fun yet poignant movie about the sort of working man, working person, and sort of the whole gambit of the sort of professional traveler, as it were. And it was really weird for me. It kind of hit home a little bit more than usual because I had literally woken up that morning at 7 a.m. in a Days Inn by an airport, took a cab to the airport, flew home, and then drove from the airport to the ArcLight to see this movie. So it was sort of really specific at that point. But yeah, I loved it. I mean, George Clooney is charismatic, and all the other characters really filled out. Jason Bateman's in it. And there's a couple guest sort of moments with like Zach Galifianakis and J.K. Simmons, which I thought were great. I fear that George Clooney will soon become a caricature of himself as he gets older. That gruff, barely audible words that he does I think he's going to become the Al Pacino.
He'll get Harrison Forded.
Yeah, or Al Pacino'd. You know what I mean? Where it's like he's going to be such a caricature because though he is a great actor, he's always the same. There really isn't much differentiating.
Do you think
in my
that the
opinion.
Fantastic Mr. Fox was that? I don't.
So yeah, same. I mean, same sort of like,
Really, you think the guy in
Ocean's 11
or Coen Brothers? That
was
multiple
a-
Coen.
well, that
Brother
was a
Art
little-
Thou, and the last one, Burn After Reading.
Was he in Burn After Reading?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the guy who always wants to go for a run.
And
Yeah.
he had the
Oh, yeah,
sex
yeah, yeah.
toy.
Yeah, I mean,
Spoiler.
Yeah, but for me, yes, I fear that he's sort of a little bit. I mean, as far as his sort of mannerisms, I think he's going to become. I'm worried that he's going to become a character.
Interesting.
But I love the movie. It's a great movie.
My usual refrain on this show is that I love art that speaks in a clever, pointed, and unique way about life that makes me look at my own situation in a new way that seems true and also has something unique to say that makes me think about all other people, everyday occurrences in a completely new light. And this movie does that so well. Also, it makes me laugh, and also it makes me feel. This is one of my favorite movies. It is so phenomenally good, and I love everything about it. I love the writing. I love the performances. I found myself thinking about this movie after I left the theater. It is so good, and it portrays a lead character that is unlike anybody else that I've ever seen in a movie, because this guy, this kind of archetype in other films is usually the guy who's unlikable at first and then finds the error of his ways.
Yeah.
They never make him unlikable.
Yeah.
He's just a guy who has a different perspective on life than you do, and he has got a perfectly fine
way to
life.
put it, yeah.
And he's a good guy. He's a good person who
Yeah.
just has different value system
Yeah.
than other people. And that is such a awesome, unique thing to put out into the world. I adore this movie.
Yeah, fantastic movie. I for every reason that you guys brought up, and in addition to that there's these documentary style moments that are very similar to
the whole wedding sequence is like shot like an amazing wedding photographer would shoot it, videographer. Like it cuts to this.
Well,
great,
that's how they did it.
I know, but it's like so perfect.
But you're talking about
I'm talking about the interviews.
Oh yeah.
Which I was gonna say are very similar to When Harry Met Sally, which really made that movie special, and they also make this, and they're incorporated in a very similar way.
And they're real.
Right, just like in When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yes, same exact thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what I walked away from this movie feeling was, one, it's very similar to, and I'm not to take anything away from it, but very similar to Jerry Maguire, which then led me down the path of just in story type and some photography. But also it made me feel like I'm so glad we have Jason Reitman now because Cameron Crowe has left the building. You know,
that's
the
funny.
last two Cameron Crowe films I found very underwhelming: Vanilla Sky and Elizabethtown.
Yeah.
But thankfully, this really is very Cameron Crowe-esque. And it's very funny and very candid about normal stuff in life. But is about sort of grand things in life, but in a very personal way. But it feels broad, and I feel like everyone's going to be going to see this movie, and people are going to be quoting this movie, and it's that kind of flick.
And also, I have to say, like Avatar, it's a movie that really reiterated my love for aviation. I mean, there were so many moments where it's like this guy. No, honestly, because this guy. But the funny thing is that this guy isn't just in love with being on a commercial plane. He loves aviation. And it's very subtle when it happens, but he starts talking about like the history of aviation and some of the histories of airports and stuff like that. And to me, it sort of showed that it transcended just this like I like being up in the air where it's more normal and I know how it works, but also that he has this love of aviation that sort of seeped out.
But I also think we would be remiss not to mention how pointed and an interesting look it is of our time, of the economic situation of America right now, and how moved I was by like you mentioned those interview segments, and how what it is to be human and have a purpose and need those things. It has such interesting things to say about all that.
What's interesting too is the book that it's based on. I mentioned that, right, at the beginning?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. The book that it's based on.
It's about George Clooney.
Different, a little bit different, and Jason Reitman started writing the script back then, or before Thank You for Juno, after Thank You for Smoking, and the book is very similar to Thank You for Smoking. And then the economic crisis happened, and he grew up a little bit, and he realized, there's something else that this really could apply to now in a very different way. So he sort of brought in the interview stuff and that type of thing.
There's one moment that I want to point out specifically of an interview where it's a real person and they're talking about losing their jobs, and all he does is go, and it's like, I mean, I get kind of choked up just thinking about it now. It's so human and real and speaks volumes in such a small moment.
And there's a woman who broke out into hives. So I need. Unfortunately, due to the schedule in which we are shooting, we're shooting this very early because of the holidays.
And also, Alex and I have no interest.
And also, you guys have no interest in the movie Sherlock Holmes.
No.
So we couldn't all get to a screening. I thankfully for the Directors Guild, there was a screening a very long time ago, the first print of the movie.
Was it actually the final cut?
Yes.
Or was it
it was the first. They had just locked picture, and they had just hot off the presses. So I got to see Sherlock Holmes, and I can't let our show
running in with the print and threw it on.
I can't let our show not comment on it.
Although kind of screw them for not helping us out.
All right. So Sherlock Holmes, Guy Ritchie. Here's the cool thing, guys. It is not a Guy Ritchie film. It is a.
Somebody else directed it?
No, it is a movie directed by a really talented director named Guy Ritchie.
Different Guy Ritchie.
It's a freaking awesome movie. I mean, awesome. It's a shame that Avatar is out at the same time, because if it weren't for that, this would be the big thing this season. It's Indiana Jones in a big, huge way, in that it incorporates the supernatural.
Don't tell me the spoilers, dude.
No, I'm not spoiling.
I can't fast forward this segment like other people.
It tonally has that like sort of supernaturally stuff, but real world application and figuring it out. It's very Sherlock Holmes, but updated in a way that is still authentic to the source material.
Okay.
But in a very you see the fight sequences.
Yeah, you said it was the most Wing Chun that's ever been.
Oh,
on.
Definitely. But when you see those hyper Guy Ritchie slow motion, they make so much sense in the first minute. They make so much sense for Sherlock Holmes. Also, I take so much. You've heard me take so much issue with the Pirates of the Caribbean films. With it, just look, the sword fights are just people. There's no clever choreography, and in a lot of these adventure films, we don't see really clever. Ways out of peril. We just see people in peril, and then something and
then they get out of it.
This movie is very clever, very original, fun set pieces, witty dialogue.
Is there a connection to be made between Guy Ritchie being put in charge of a big budget action film?
Sam Raimi?
No, I was gonna say Jon Favreau. I mean, obviously
Sort
same
of.
lead actor, but in the sense of a different mentality being applied to something that.
Actually, Sam
I don't
Raimi's
know
another
about
good example
that, but
doing these smaller sort of like,
yeah, it's like Sam Raimi and Guy Ritchie are probably more analogous in that Guy Ritchie's only done one kind of film, although Sam Raimi is different. But so Guy Ritchie's only done this one kind of film, and so he's been using his same shticks over and over.
Jon
and
Favreau kind of did that
treading
for a while, and
the
then
same territory. Yeah, that's true. I didn't think that's what I thought you were going in, like, because he's a comedy guy and he's making this action movie more funny. And it's not that he makes this movie more gangster. He happens to be a phenomenally talented storyteller, and now he's finally doing that. So a lot of
And it comes out
fun.
Christmas Day?
It comes out Christmas.
Well, came
it came out.
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day? I'll just see it on Christmas Day.
Reload.
As our last video game segment of 2009, I wanted to circle back and grab a couple of games that came out, and I didn't want to miss them. The first one that we're going to talk about is, I guess you could say a sequel, but more like kind of an expansion, or just more of one of my very favorite games of last year, and that is King's Bounty. We did the first.
I literally thought you were talking about the other game.
King's Bounty we talked about in February of last year, but it actually came, or of this year, but it actually came out last year.
Okay.
And I wish if I had played it that last year, it would have made my top
That's
five.
what I was just gonna say. This game, the sequel to a game that you might be naming your game of the year.
Yeah, well, but it actually
funny.
came out in 2008.
Oh, well, I mean, Children of Men.
Children of Men.
Children of Men.
So anyway, so this is King's Bounty Armored Princess, and it's from a Russian development company, and it is very much, as the first game was, a throwback to a style of PC game, and this is very much a PC game that a lot of people don't make anymore, or nobody makes anymore. It's the old Heroes of Might and Magic style of a pulled back perspective of things kind of exaggerated on a map, and you going around and collecting quests, and then the battles are all on a hexagonal map and turn-based. And that is a style of gameplay that I love and miss from.
It's called the Lost Art.
It really, truly is. Yes. And this game takes the formula that we had in the first game, which is, you have 3 different classes, you run around on a horse, you get into battles, and then you can use magic spells, and also you have rage, which you earn by getting attacked or doing attacks. In the first game, that rage was spent with these these creatures that lived in this strange magical box. This time you get a baby dragon that can do different spells and level up. And you acquire different units as your armies, and you can amass huge numbers of them, and they're all represented by one icon on the board, and you march them around in a turn-based style and try to defeat the opposing armies. So you, as the actual character, are never engaged in battle. You are just commanding your armies. Dan, I can't remember if you liked the first game. I know nobody liked it as much as I did.
Yeah, there were things that I liked, but I think on the whole, I don't remember what I found a lot frustrating about it, and I don't remember. I wish I could remember what it was. I wish I could remember a lot of the first game, actually, as I was playing this. As you guys know, as I was like, what was in the first game again?
Right. It's a very similar experience. It isn't necessarily a full sequel. It's more of the same, really, and with slight tweaks.
Like, what else did we just review recently that was like, Left 4 Dead 2.
Right.
I enjoyed playing it.
Well said.
Okay, all right, moving on.
Here's my box quote for it. It's better than chess. In that, it's very, when you're actually playing the battles, when you're playing, it's just like chess in terms of piece moving, and one guy can only do this one thing, and one guy can only do this one thing, and how do I use that? And there's a lot of depth to it, because it's like, it's one thing to just think about how do I defeat those people. That's another thing when, okay, but the board is now way different than it was earlier, and there's always constantly something new to be thinking and engage. I really enjoy having to figure out what to do. But there are still frustrations even in that. I still don't quite get why I have a number of units and a range of damage, and I mean, I get why, but I literally play this game with a calculator, because I don't have all the information I need to make decisions. You look confused. But
I understand why.
No, I get it.
Clarify? Okay.
I got it.
And then it just took me a long time to feel like I was progressing in the game. It was before I was able to accomplish any quests. And the navigation, I was never quite sure, is this what the game wants me to do? Or it's very loose. It's very like, it's not like clear, like you need to go here to do this. It's like, okay, well, where do I go?
It's a throwback to those old PC games that didn't hold your hand.
Yeah. There's definitely not much.
But there's even like,
as far as where to go, because it's go like find and destroy the thief king or something like that, and you're like, where? And it's just like, no, you'll find him.
You get a quest early on that you think is the next thing you need to do, but really you're like need to do a million other things before you can do that, which is interesting, but it's counterintuitive to like games. You want a clear goal of what do I need to do, and there's something that's frustrating about that, not fun about that kind of design.
I'm anxious for you to play the Might and Magic Clash of Heroes on DS, because what you said about the combat, I think you're going to do
interesting. So I too have my main issue with this game. I really didn't understand the game. The first time I played it, the first thing, I really had a hard time understanding that I was supposed to basically go through every battle and then go and replenish your supply immediately, right afterwards. I didn't kind of get that. So I was constantly like getting like 3 fights in and then dying and then being replenished. With this, it finally really locked into me in the sort of like, this is how you do combat tutorial, when it was like, your goal is just to survive as your character. Basically, everybody else, don't even worry about
Everybody's
them.
a pawn.
Everybody's a pawn. Don't worry about them. If all of your guys are dead, but you're still alive, you win, and your guys are happy. And so that made me go, oh yeah, all right, okay, I don't mind taking it.
Certain guys are more valuable than others.
Agreed, and there's definitely the thing to it. That said, I completely understand what Dan said about the calculator, because I too had such a huge frustration level as I have X number of archers, I know what that number is going to be when it comes up, and I know which one I want to hit because I know that number is going to be whatever. And as they start to get whittled down, I don't know what that number is going to be. I know it's going to be markedly less.
But if you just hover over, it'll say what the damage you're expected to do on the enemy unit.
If you hover over the enemy unit?
Yeah, when you're selecting who you're going to attack with it, it'll say what damage you are expected to do.
Right. No, but
per
before that, when I'm trying to make the choice of, do I do this damage to this? Do I waste this now, or will it be like? I can't even
there's
start
a whole.
to go
So
down
there's a whole. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this whole
deeper than
layer.
that.
So basically,
Yeah.
there's this whole layer on the game which I enjoyed the game in spite of this layer. Rather than, I think what they would want is that the part of the enjoyment of this game is this layer. And for me, it was just a frustration. It was just, my guys are getting weaker and weaker, cool. I'm just trying to see if I can whittle it through, and then now I just have to go to a shop and buy more people. That's fine. But I didn't need that at all. And if anything, it just made it sort of less enjoyable as the battles went on. But it is a really fun game. I mean, it is a real harken back to that, I love riding around and exploring places and finding things and meeting people and, getting people, helping people out. And
It's
doing
got
all
a
that
great
stuff.
graphical style, too.
Great style. But at the end of the day, I almost feel like I need more now out of a game. I feel like I need more out of a game. Reading just a quest exchange, to me, it's just like it's not enough anymore.
Too much reading.
I mean, honestly, I feel
way
bad.
too
It's
much.
just
I loved the first game, and I was so thrilled that they were making more. And I think the first game is available, and both these games are available on Steam, but I think the first one's available for, I don't know,
$5 or
15
something.
bucks,
Yeah,
10
right.
bucks, something like that. And as much as I love this one as well, I think the first game's better. I think they ramped up the difficulty in the second one, and they made it much more a juggling. There's a lot of time where I really had to backtrack in order to get more units just to be able to fight something that was too difficult for me. And that was really I was in an area where that was all I could do. And I didn't remember doing that quite as much in the first one. Also, the thing I missed the most from the first one, you guys talk about reading so much, I loved reading the quests in the first game because they were funny. And it had such wit about them. You would get married to a frog in the first one, and it had all these wonderful, silly, it obviously translated from Russian, but well translated and wacky, and I didn't find that to be the case in the second one at all. It took itself much more seriously, I think, to its detriment. That said, still a great game, and you can't go wrong, and it's something that I think a lot of people would like if they tried. And it's not just another shooter. It's not just another game like all the other games. It's really its own thing, and it's much more tactical and fun. I just love turn-based strategy games, which is why I'm having so much fun with Might and Magic Clash of Heroes.
Oh, that's out already?
It's on DS.
Yeah.
I think we might all want to talk about that very soon because it's awesome. There is another downloadable game from the folks that did PixelJunk Eden, which was another game that was on my personal top 5 of the year last year. So
Mine as
anytime,
well, I believe.
I think it might have been.
It was not mine.
Yeah, anytime Q Games comes out with a new PixelJunk game, it is definitely worth noting.
Did they not do Monsters?
They did Monsters.
They did Monsters, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Did you play it?
No, it's the one that I haven't
Is it
played,
called
but it looks
PixelJunk
different.
Monsters?
Yeah,
It looks different than these, though. Is it good?
well, yeah, it's great. It's a tower defense game.
Right.
Yeah. This one, PixelJunk Shooter that we're talking about, came out a little while ago. It's a PSN downloadable title, and it is a very interesting hybrid, I would say, between a shooter, a two-dimensional spaceship flying around shooter, and a puzzle game, in the sense that you enter these two-dimensional environments that are filled with different elements. I always said it should have been called PixelJunk Elements. It's got lava and water, and there are little men stranded everywhere around, and you have to save them. You have to collect them, almost like the old game Defender, where you suck them up into your ship to extricate them from their hazardous environment. And the puzzle element is figuring out how to get to them without having your ship overheat, which is the major danger to your ship. And if you're too near lava for too long, your ship will overheat and then crash. So you have to combine the water with the lava and it'll harden, and then you can shoot through that material to get to certain areas. And it's all about figuring out how to traverse the environment as well as survive and save as many of the little dudes as you can. Also, there's diamonds to get. Alex, did
Everybody
you
loves collecting diamonds.
Is this a game that you dug, or is it not really something that you're into?
I sort of enjoyed PixelJunk Eden, but it definitely wasn't my, real cup of tea. I mean, it was really aesthetically very pleasing, but just wasn't really my thing.
That's certainly a strength of Q games, is that they take these and they really put a very interesting stamp on them visually and
audibly,
yeah.
or orally or whatever.
Yeah.
This could possibly be the best sort of shooter puzzle game I've ever played. I mean, it's the thing that my biggest issue with it is it's so short.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, but it's also a downloadable game, so it's like I didn't feel gypped that it was so short. It just was like,
Apologies to all the gypsies out there.
I want more. Is that what that means? I don't even know if that's what that means.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel faulted. Purse snatched, I guess. I don't know. I'm sorry for all the purse snatchers out there. But yeah, it's a joy to play this game because it's such a layback. It's almost reminded me a little bit of Flower. Like, it's such a layback enjoy. My ship would blow up 1,000 times. It didn't matter. I was just having fun playing with the lava and playing.
All their
with
games
the
are
water.
kind of like that, where they always get like awesome DJs to the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And it's almost a serene
Yeah,
experience.
and there's nothing more painful than accidentally shooting those little diver guys.
what?
And I was like, boom, up! I was trying to get to you, bro. And then I would like shoot the thing to try to pick him. I was like, maybe he's still alive.
Dan, what did you think?
Yeah. This game is GD brilliant. GD stands for gosh darn. It's awesome. It doesn't get much deeper than that. I don't think I liked it as much as Eden. I didn't fall head over heels. I finished the game. I think the end sequences with the magnetism the puzzle elements really start to play.
Shine.
There's a few moments before where they don't really give you a lot of knowledge in how to, and there's one puzzle element in particular that you only need to do it that one time, or maybe once more after that, and they don't really instruct you how to do that, and I found that a little bit bizarre. But really, yes, that it is a shooter and I didn't know that this was even a genre. I feel like shooters. You're just, avoiding being shot, and that's kind of it,
Yeah.
But the idea of having to deal with that while solving puzzles, really cool.
Yeah.
So, brilliant, awesome. There's
definitely
just a
a
couple of
vibe.
things that are a little...
I liked it. I was a little let down by it, to be quite honest with you, just because
Interesting.
Eden to me was so good. And I think they had raised the bar so high, and it really was unlike anything I had ever played. This is cool. It just felt a little bit like half an idea to me. I don't know. That's a little harsh. It's a good game. It's a good game, and it's worth $10. And I enjoyed it. It's just they've set a standard of these games being so, or at least maybe my expectations were unfair. But I will play Eden 1,000 times more. And if I had never touched this game, I wouldn't have felt like I missed out on anything. It's fun and entertaining and a good game, solid. But I don't feel the same way you guys do about it. I think it's great. I'd rather play Eden. But,
Interesting.
I mean, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I think Eden was better, but I want to say something. The size, I actually like the bite size. Eden I still haven't finished.
There's something to it.
It
gets hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that this definitely gets hard, but knowing that I'm pretty close to the end
solvable,
here,
yeah.
I feel like, it's worth putting the effort in. Eden got hard for me, and I was like, oh my God, I'm only halfway, whatever, like this is a little bit, intense. So I kind of like feeling the reward.
Yeah.
It's almost worth making a shorter game for that experience, for allowing someone to finish it. So
PixelJunk.
let's finish this segment. So, as was with annual tradition on this show, it is the end of the year, and instead of talking about our favorites of the year, that's next week.
Correct.
This week, we predict what's going to be happening next year.
We could consider this our flash forward segment.
There's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff.
A poop ton of stuff.
So we came up with a solution.
Came up with a solution. So inspired by my friends at the Showpocalypse, a great podcast. It's like a morning radio show, but about movies.
Love it.
And they do this segment on the show called Trailer Hicks, where they review a trailer in one quippy, witty segment. And I thought, what a great way for us.
We're gonna do that without
nonsense.
any of the wit. We'll just take the wit out and we'll just do it ourselves.
Because we haven't seen any of these things, so we
Yeah.
need to be brief.
All right.
And what we
Let's do
think
it.
they might be. So for movies.
So you just picked 10 movies, not necessarily the biggest 10 movies, but pick
Or
10,
the only 10 movies,
10
but
big
these are 10
movies
like,
there's a
that
lot-
we haven't necessarily talked already
Exactly.
about.
We talked about Kick-Ass before. We talked about the Expendables before.
Right.
They're not on our list,
Right.
but we're all very much looking forward to those coming
All right,
out.
let's see how this
Here's
goes.
10 we haven't talked about yet. So, Ridley Scott directs Russell Crowe and Kate Blanchett in Robin Hood.
Go,
Robin Hood splits my arrows.
Alex.
Nice. Gladiator 2, this time it's medieval. I'm in.
I wrote Gladiator with a bow and arrow, but are we not entertained? I say we are.
Amazing.
All right, next. Scott Pilgrim, landing on Daneth Rock.
The Avatar of the Juno set, I'm zero interested.
Oh. Michael Cera comes into his own. I expect it to depart from the book in all the right ways. It'll be a car lot of fun.
And I said the Avatar thing because people are coming out of the screenings going like, it's changing movies forever. Like they're saying the
One
same
guy
stuff that they
said
said.
that.
One
It
guy
was very
said that. That's
exciting.
all it means.
Yeah.
Car lot of
Greg
fun.
Mottola, director of Adventureland, said
Oh,
that.
I got it confused. It's Scott Pilgrim. I was thinking Youth in Revolt this whole time.
Michael Cera's in it, though.
Yeah.
That's why I was so confused.
It's the same. All right, go.
That applies to Youth in
So
Revolt.
the
not
next
Scott
one,
Pilgrim.
Louis Leterrier, director of The Incredible Hulk, and Sam Worthington, star of Avatar, and a new action
Terminator.
movie remake
Yep.
of. Hold on.
Clash of the Titans.
No, I'm trying to get to my thing. Clash of the Titans.
That's why you need a Kindle.
Yes.
Clash of the Titans? No, actually they match. I'm looking forward to it. Could be bad, but
Amazing.
Yeah.
No Bubo, no go-go for me, dude.
I put this year's Terminator Salvation. Looks good on paper, but they should have left the property alone.
Smart.
it might. Yeah, the trailer is more. The second trailer is much more effective, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Okay.
I have to see the second.
Moving on. Sequel to one of last year's biggest action flicks. It was in your top
Yeah,
5.
of course.
Robert Downey Jr. is back.
Yep.
Jon Favreau's back. Some
Yeah.
new villains.
Somebody isn't
Mickey
back.
Rourke plays Whiplash in Iron Man 2. Gives me Whiplash.
Nice.
In a
In
good
a
way?
bad way. I think Whiplash at the end of the trailer
No, I
with those
know.
whips
Yeah,
looks
yeah.
really cheesy.
I know, the whip effect.
Yeah.
Iron Man 2, they say Cheetos never prosper. I say they do. I'm in.
Cheetos never prospered. I wrote
Don't Cheetos.
Don't Cheetos.
Yeah, I know.
This movie will only make me angry that the third one isn't already out. Bring on the Avengers.
Nice.
Nice. Okay, next up, Kevin Smith finally directs a movie that he hasn't written. Known in the Askewiverse, it's a buddy cop movie starring Tracy Morgan and Bruce Willis.
Yes.
Cop Out. Has the right to remain silent.
Oh, you don't think it's gonna be
No, because he didn't write this one.
Oh, God.
Alex?
I'm going to say this movie could be gone in 60 seconds. I have not been excited about what Smith has done lately.
The title change makes me giggle already because it's so meta. Will the movie?
Ooh.
And this is like, does Kevin Smith have it in him to return? Because
Right.
his last two totally.
Yeah.
But if he is going to return, I think directing another script could
Maybe,
be the thing.
maybe.
All right.
Gone in 60 seconds?
Next one. Huge.
This is fun.
Huge movie.
Very fun.
Yeah.
Good. Huge movie. Bradley Cooper as. Oh, guys, I need your help for this.
Face.
Face. Sharlto Copley from District 9 as Murdoch.
Mad Murdoch.
But Baracus is
Rampage Jackson.
Rampage
Quentin
Jackson.
Jackson.
Liam Neeson as.
The lead guy.
Yeah, what's his name? I had it when
I know,
you were
I know.
face. It doesn't matter.
They all form. Oh, directed by Joe Narc. Smoking Aces Carnahan.
Yeah.
They all form the A team of great actors and director.
Amazing. The A-team of great actors and director. I'm going to say, gonna go on a Rampage Jackson with this one. Perfect casting.
My Kindle's
Oh, interesting. Somebody.
I wrote Mine takes a visual. Dukes of Hazzard Bewitched Mod Squad? Mission Impossible.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Next up, our show's favorite show, adapted by M. Night Shyamalan.
Chamalama Ding Dong.
The Last Airbender. Hopefully not. I want more.
Interesting. I'm gonna
first
say,
Airbender.
I'm gonna say, Sakatumi, baby. Ready for this bitch.
Zuko that I want to go see it.
there it
I
is.
just came up with that now. Mine is,
Oh, good.
I predict a complete redemption for M. Night. Reminds everyone what a great filmmaker he is.
I'm excited
Nice.
about it. That's good. That's good.
Okay. Next up, Nicolas Cage hasn't been in some good ones lately, but John Turteltaub, who did the National Treasure movies, directs him and Jay Baruchel in an adaptation of a
Disney movie, animated
no,
movie.
a part Fantasia, just a short from
Kind
Fantasia.
of,
yeah,
not
yeah.
really.
Yeah, and not really. Well, sort
Just
of.
a title.
There's a broom sequence.
I go!
In Sorcerer's Apprentice. Schooled me. This trailer actually makes it look really good. I'm excited.
You got the wrong sentence. I think you might have miswritten it. This is National Treasure with Wizards. Probably an okay airplane movie.
My prediction is falls flat like a bad Nick Cage wig.
Nice. That's good.
I feel like that trailer could be
Yep,
cool.
moving on.
It's like
Nick
Harry
Cage
Potter in the
wig.
real world. I think that's
No, it
cool.
wasn't.
Okay.
This is our last one.
Next up.
Of the
it's
10.
not.
No, it's not. There is more.
Keep going.
That's
keep
all
going.
right.
Scroll
Also
down.
yours.
Scroll down.
So David Fincher directs Jesse Eisenberg and Justin Timberlake as the guys who created Facebook in The Social Network. Hopefully isn't Friendstered.
Nice. How about I couldn't care less how Twitter was made. This won't be Pirates of Silicon Valley, more like Pirates of Who Gives a Shit.
It's
Oh,
Facebook,
wow.
they're not Twitter.
Yeah, but it's the
No, you're
same.
just saying.
That's the
I just wrote Yahoo!
nice.
I'm excited to
You
see
excited?
it.
Okay.
Excited to see it. Like, who cares how
Okay,
Facebook was made?
we've already talked about this movie, but how can we not mention this is coming out next year? Tron. Game
Yes.
on.
They throw a curve into my light cycles. I'm nervous about this one.
I wrote could be a home run or the year's biggest disappointment. Better have tons of Jeff Bridges.
Nice.
Did you want to do the two that you were
Yeah,
looking
I
forward
wrote some-
to?
I wrote
yeah.
some.
Yeah, I didn't write them, but I know them. Okay.
Go.
Well, the two that were off that didn't make the top 10.
But Jeff
for
was
me,
like, I have to talk about
Wall
these. I'm
Street
really looking
2
forward to.
and Green Hornet.
Okay,
Right,
well,
so,
let's do 'em. I wrote.
so Oliver
ready.
Stone, Shia LaBeouf making Wall Street 2.
Yes.
Michael Douglas involved.
Yes.
Michael Douglas involved. I'm gonna buy
was your
myself some
sentence?
time. Alex, I'm trying to remember mine.
Okay, Gordon Gekko versus the Geico Gecko would be more interesting.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I cannot. This should not be done, in my opinion.
Wall Street 2 could bail Stone out.
Interesting. That's
Yeah,
very
I
nice.
mean, it's rare that we get a sequel to a drama, like directed by the same guy who made it.
Yeah.
It could be really.
I actually didn't write a sentence for this one, but I really think it could be a cultural touchstone. I think it could be about life now in the
Geico,
same way
Geico.
it was then.
Geico,
That could
Gecko.
go. And then also, okay, so Green Hornet, Seth Rogen, Michelle
Yep.
Gondry.
Yep. Can Seth Rogen kick ass? That will make or break this. If Seth Rogen can pull off kick-assery, it wins. If he's just Seth Rogen kicking people's ass, it fails.
I think if anyone can direct a funny guy kicking butt and have that be enjoyable, Michelle Gondry might be that guy.
Maybe.
I'll stir up that hornet's nest.
Green Hornet.
Oh, that was a good one.
More like Green Morget.
All right.
All right,
Now
video
the video
game.
game.
All right, video game. So, one of the biggest, it will undoubtedly be one of the biggest years of video games ever, 2010. In fact, we have more coming out in the first 3 months than I think ever. More AAA, huge titles. Very difficult slimming this down to 10.
But we
and it's
did.
10 that we maybe, didn't
Yeah.
talk about super much. Just Cause 2, which is the sequel to the Xbox One PS2 game, where you are running around free roaming environment with a crazy parachute and a hook this time. I wrote Just Cause 2. Why do I want to play it so bad? Just cause.
Nice.
Just Cause 2. Just cause the first one sucked doesn't mean this will. This is my #1 most anticipated game of the following
Interesting.
year.
Just Cause 2, parasailing with guns. Somebody finally got my letters.
That's good. All right, Final Fantasy 13, a game we have sadly not talked about enough on this podcast. Obviously, it's the next huge Square Enix role-playing game. Final Fantasy 13, I'm starting to get so pumped for this, I hope it doesn't feel old-fashioned.
Final Fantasy 13. I might not want to wake up. This might be the first Final
Interesting.
Fantasy game that I get into.
Final Fantasy 13. The 13 means it'll be good, right? JRPGs aren't my thing. This might change that.
God of War 3, which we played at E3. God of War 3, huge game that's coming out in the first 3 months of the year. Obviously, the sequel to God of War, but the first time on the PS3. God of War 3 looks gorgeous, plays better. I'm in.
God of War 3, one god too many. I'm a little bit over it.
Really?
Interesting.
I'm not. I mean, I might end
Yeah.
up loving it. I've loved all the others, but I'm just not looking forward.
Yeah, God of War 3, good things come in threes. God of War 3 on the PS3, I'm in.
Awesome. Lost Planet 2, which is Capcom's almost like a Monster Hunter type game. It's going to feature 4-player co-op, snow, fighting giant, crazy monsters. I wrote Lost Planet 2, my sleeper pick for a game I'll be most addicted to. Co-op monster hunting with great graphics. I'm in.
Lost Planet 2, find it in my galaxy.
Amazing.
Shadow of the Colossus with another person.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Lost Planet 2, baby, it's cold out there, but my heart melts for co-op.
BioShock 2, which is the sequel to BioShock. This time you return to, it's got the big sister now instead of Big Daddy. We know not too much about the single player storyline, but it's coming out very soon. I wrote, I am shocked how unexcited I am. I hope it reminds me why I love the first one so much.
I like that. Very good. BioShock 2, would you kindly remind me how the first one ended?
Nice.
I don't even remember.
You
Yeah,
escape.
BioShock 2, shocking the excitement here. But I mean, I want to play more of BioShock, so it makes my name.
Splinter Cell Conviction, now with co-op. We just found out, it just hit the webs recently about the co-op portion of Splinter Cell Conviction. This is a game that they have taken the time and care to keep in the oven, and it hasn't been put out even though,
Correct.
Lots of changes.
Correct.
I wrote, co-op could make stealth games fun.
Nice.
Splinter Cell Conviction. This convict better break out of the franchise, and I think it's going to.
I
It
think
seems
so,
very
too.
different than the other
Yeah.
games, which I'm looking forward to.
I said shove a snake cam up the bad guys' butts and watch this game kick ass.
I love it. Max Payne 3, which we haven't talked about at all on this show, and it looks like a major departure for the series, which, pretty ballsy of them to go in such a completely different direction after they made a feature film off the first aesthetic of the first two games. This time it's much more kind of jungly. The guy looks out of shape, very odd. I wrote Max Payne 3, this is a massive wild card. Loved the first two games. I'm intrigued.
Okay.
Max Payne 3. This pain I might tolerate.
Okay. Interesting.
I haven't played the others.
Yeah.
I did not tolerate
okay.
the movie. This could be. I could be into
Yeah.
it.
Max Payne 3, nothing funky about this bunch. After the movie, I cannot get excited for a new Payne.
Interesting. Medal of Honor, which of course the big trailer debuted at the VGA Awards recently. I wrote, it wants to be modern warfare, and I want it to too. It's nice to want things.
I love it.
Interesting.
What you got?
Medal of Honor. Honorably discharged from the franchise. I'm very excited to see a different company's take on modern warfare. Not the game, I mean like modern warfare.
Yeah. Medal of Honor, welcome back to video games. Finally taking Modern Warfare to the mats. This could be amazing.
Interesting.
It could be. I mean, if it looks at the great multiplayer stuff that Modern Warfare is doing, look at the good single player stuff that Modern Warfare is doing, and try to emulate that with a good franchise and a good company.
Batman Arkham Asylum 2, which also we heard about at the VGAs. Sequel to the first game, we don't know much about it quite yet. I wrote, I hope they push it forward and aren't just Robin the first one.
Nice.
Nice. That's a good one. Batman Arkham Asylum 2. Flying over my cuckoo's nest. I gave the first one a very mediocre review. I went back and finished it and loved it. So.
Yeah. Batman Arkham Asylum 2 is a no-brainer Batman. I love the first one, just don't screw up the second one. They can do nothing but screw this up, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's not good. And then finally, Red Dead Redemption, which is the sequel to the Rockstar open world-ish, GTA-ish kind of thing in the Wild West. The trailer is online and it looks pretty incredible. I wrote, if it is good or bad, it certainly won't be ugly.
Ah, Oh, good, Danny.
Red Dead Redemption, Western video game salvation. This is my number 2, next to Just Cause 2, most anticipated game. Amazing looking. The trailers it looks like it'll be the best Western movie we get.
Yeah. I wrote Red Dead Redemption, yippee-ki-yay, mother effers. This could be the best Western game ever. Lord, I hope so.
So that does it for the 10
those are our
games we wanted to
predictions.
talk about. There are so many more things. We have
Star
a
Trek
big
Online
year.
is going to be in February, which I'm.
And there's stuff that's not even announced, like possibly Deus Ex 3, which I think could be incredible.
Gears 3 possibly this
Is
year.
Last Guardian supposed to come out in 2010? I didn't think so.
I predict it'll probably be pushed to 2011, but they're saying that they're hoping for fall.
There's a possibility that we might even see Star Wars: The Old Republic. I mean, there's there's game testing. I would love that. All right, everybody, before we say a fond farewell to the aught-nines, as it were,
Nine.
we would like to thank our sponsors, such lovely sponsors as the new Ford Sync, available in most, if not all, Ford, Lincoln, or Mercury's now. Ford Sync is hands-free communication with your car.
It's so futuristic, it seems like it shouldn't be available in this decade.
And maybe it's not. Ford Sync allows you to hands-free communications with your cell phones, with your media players, with your MP3 players, turn-by-turn navigation. It's got the 911 assist anytime you get into a car accident or you bump your fender and your airbags come out. It will call 911, tell them where you are, and send people out. 411 assist, you're in an area you don't know and you want to get to a Quickie, Dickie, McDonald's. Hit the little button and go, I'd like a Quickie Dickie McDonald's, please. And then it would go, I'm sorry, I don't understand what Quickie Dickie means. And you go, I just meant McDonald's. And then it will take you there. Turn-by-turn navigation, unbelievable. Also, it has localized...
Take a Quickie Dickie right turn.
Just take a Quickie Dickie U-turn. Localized sports, news, weather, all sorts of great stuff. Also, your car will literally email you when it needs fixing. It'll go, hey, I'm doing cool. I'm going to email my guy who owns me and say, hey, could you fill up my right tire, dude? And then you
It's
go,
so much
yeah.
better than my car now, which just updates its Facebook page and wants me to check it.
I love it. I love it.
That's better than what he.
Yeah, let it go. Anyway, if you want more information on the new Ford Sync, head over to syncmyridepodcast.com.
I get to tell you about Squarespace. Squarespace is awesome. It is the place that we all created, maintain, and house our websites. TotallyRadShow.com is an example of Squarespace magic. It is easy. What you see is what you get web design. It is powerful and voluminous hosting. But all of that does not sacrifice aesthetic.
No.
Because if you look at TotallyRadShow.com, for example, or any of our websites, they are awesome and they don't look like cookie cutter websites. It's a place that you can create something that looks unique and interesting and visually attractive to a customer, but you do it so easily, and you can update it so easily. In fact, they made it even easier by introducing an iPhone app that allows you to update and check all the information you need about your website right there on your iPhone. And not only that, you can utilize your iPhone to, like, for example, take a picture and then upload it straight to your website.
Amazing.
It's so slick, and you never have to plug it into
You can
a
check
computer.
your web stats on there. Tons
It's
of stuff.
fantastic. Even better than all of that, if you tell them you saw this show talk about their product, they'll give you 10% off. How do you do that? Well, you go to squarespace.com and you use the promo code TRS, and they'll give you 10% off the lifetime of your order.
And they make good shirts, too. More than a
do.
Squarespace shirt. I didn't even realize.
We also want to tell you about the national campaign against drunk driving, over the limit, under arrest. Do you really want to spend the holidays in jail?
No.
So basically between December 17th and New Year's, there's going to be extra cracking down on driving under any drugs, drinking, all of it. And, you know, as if murdering someone and killing a person isn't incentive enough to not drink and drive. They mention horrible insurance fees and going to court,
Legal
and jail,
fees.
legal, all that stuff. License is gone. Your life is ruined. Even if you don't kill someone, your life is ruined. Even if you do kill someone, not only are you living with that, but you got all this other horrible, horrible stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that, so they suggest designated drivers, taxis,
Yep.
all stuff that we do all the time when we go out.
Yeah,
I'm often designated Dan.
No
Yeah.
one says you can't have a great time, and it's so easy to have a great time and still be responsible.
And
Yeah.
I think too, I want to say that it's very easy to, you hear this and you go, oh yeah, of course, if I see someone drunk and they're like stumbling into their car,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I'm going to be good. But a lot of times isn't as visibly drunk and you feel uncomfortable saying,
Yeah.
hey, if you don't really know the person or whatever. And those are the moments that we are referring to. Hopefully you should definitely not let someone stumbling into their car drive. That's obvious. But the thing when people say, don't let someone drink and drive, doesn't it, it's those in-between
Yeah, it's
moments
just
where you
gray
have
areas.
to step up to the plate and do something and
Yeah.
know that it's so worth doing something because the consequences are not worth dealing with.
Yeah, no. So don't drink and drive. Thank you very much, Danzig. Well, that is it for this week's edition of The Totally Rad Show and of the '09 year. Did you
Yeah.
guys have a fun '09?
Blast. I'm excited for
Incredible
2010.
2010 is
I'm
going to
excited
be...
for the X. Gotta keep the
Next
X.
week, next week, you can check our website at totallyradshow.com to find out what we're doing, but I'm going to tell you right now, next week,
Yep.
very big show. We're going to do our annual Totally Rad Awards.
Yep,
Where
the
we all
raddies.
walk in with our own top 5 lists of the year, and then we have to, through punches and kicks and biting, we have to figure out which game, movie, TV show is going to leave with our Totally Rad Show award.
Correct, Amundo. And by the way, you know what's great to do in the '09s before the X? Is buy some swag, especially new swag. We've
Yes.
got new shirts, we've got a new hat.
Yeah, you don't want to start a new year with the same old stuff you've
old
been wearing.
stuff. Yeah, go to jinx.com/TRS. Check out all of our new products. Well, we hope you guys had a good '09, and
Yeah.
thank you for watching the show for the last year. I'm Alex Albrecht.
I'm Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
See you in X-Town.
Be safe for New Year.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Totally Rad Show, episode number 145. I'm Alex Albrecht.
I'm Jeff Canada.
No.
I gotta do it again. Totally Rad Show's weekly dose of all things rad. We go into a time machine because guess what? It's 2010. Can you
Not
believe
yet,
that?
is it?
When this comes out?
Nope.
Nope.
All right, well then guess what? It's 2009.
But what? So this weekend I can't. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
It's 2010.
2010!
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Wait, I'm trying to think.
2010!
Yeah.